exact point of contention in the lawsuit. By the time this water arrived at St. Louis, strictly speaking, that water was not poisonous anymore. This
We're going to be the only one in the
court with an Illinois judge and an Illinois jury, which I'm sure had nothing to do with it. It wasn't just St. Louis on Saturday. Try every state that surrounds the Great Lakes, and then this next bit, my favorite bit, you get it sounds made up, but I promise it really happened. We pursued all of Canada in combined full force, all at once. A quick side note here, real quick. Do you have any idea how hard that is to do? To get all of Canada. The nicest people in the world. All of them angry at peace. Angry Canadians is very scary. So they said that we were going to drain Lake Michigan, which is not exactly untrue. It's kind of weird and stuff like that, though, because we weren't going to drain the lake. We were going to drain the Great Lakes, plural, all of them. However, down to levels to which you could no longer safely navigate between them faster than anybody had previously thought possible. So here's what's happening. So all the Great Lakes are all interconnected, and through their natural course of events, untouched and undisturbed by man, due to their naturally descending sea level into the Atlantic Ocean, they would inevitably drain to a point you could no longer safely navigate between them in like 1.5 million years. However, as a direct result of connecting the Great Lakes now into the Chicago River, into the Des Plaines, into the Illinois, which connects into the Mississippi that ends in the Gulf, Chicago had drawn a straight line from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico, which had never been done before, and it shortened that draining of the Great Lakes to unnavigable levels from 1.5 million years to about 45,000 years. Which, I hear you, counts. That's 45,000 years in the future, but in the grand cosmic scheme of things, it is definitely not the best idea. We are the first to admit. But the damage had already been done. We had a 14-year argument about that, in fact, from 1924 to 1938. The end result is what we're in right now, the Chicago Harbor Lock, which has gone through several reiterations over the years. But it's the same general idea. So the lock serves 1.5 major purposes. The main purpose of the lock has actually already happened. Every time the front gates of the lock open to allow us to enter inside, we're let out into that portion of the Chicago River an average of about 800,000 to 1 million gallons of lake water, which does sound like a lot, but given the incredible volume between here and the Mississippi, it barely rings out of the difference. We'll have the water out in the river and stop raining. But a second sort of half function of the lock that might be here that easier is to physically raise vessels up to be at the same height of the lake, and then physically lower vessels down to the same height of the Chicago River. So right now we're at river level. Here's what's going to happen to us. One of the requirements are closed to be in front of us and then going to open. They're not going to open all the way, because that would be very dangerous, just a little bit, about 2 feet wide gap between the gates. You have the water coming in, and what you see is since the lake, depending on the rainfall around the Great Lakes, is 2 to 5 feet higher than the Chicago River is. What you'll see is a small natural waterfall as water naturally falls from the higher point of the lake down into the lower point of the river level, which again is what the level of the river is. So the water will fall from the lake in the same height of the lake, and once the water level is equalized, the opening gates and rest away, and then we'll pull out through. While we're inside the lock, though, 2 quick safety tips. Number 1, please do not reach out and touch the lock wall. The battle of hand versus lock wall, and will never win. Also, it's gross. Secondly, I know this kind of sounds silly. I know this kind of sounds like a no-brainer. This happens to me 1.5 times. This happens as a company more often than you think, so I have to say it. Please do not get off of the boat onto the Chicago Harbor Lock. Here's why. On the left-hand side, this ship-shaped building over here, this is the headquarters of the Army Corps of Engineers. And depending on how the Army feels about that, that starts at 10 years in federal prison for trespassing on government property, or if you're lucky, it's a $35,000 federal fine for trespassing on government property. I'm not trying to scare you, but no bet in the world is worth it. Please stay on the boat and we'll tell you when you can get up. But the gates behind us have officially closed, the gates in front of us have opened. You guys are more than welcome to come up here to the front and try to get a closer look at these gates opening up. Pretty neat to see if you haven't seen it before. See the water falling in naturally from the higher level of the lake down to the lower level of the river, which will fill us up into one of the same height. just as a general reminder, please do not stand at the seats or the benches. Thank you so much. So the Chicago Harbor Lodge, I just had a good question. The question was how often is it open? And it's kind of like a need to go type thing. So as long as there's nobody who needs to get in and out, they'll keep it closed. But on a very busy summer day where it's constantly going back and forth, that's maybe about 30 times a day on average. On an average day, it'll be less than half of that, so maybe like 10 to 12-ish. But usually not too much if it's not like our busy summer season, but in the summer it's pretty much open constantly. It's about 30 times a day on average, but other times of year it's like 12. That way they don't let excess lake water into the river that doesn't really need to be there.
Not the fastest gates.
That's a lot of water to come through.
By the way, weather update for folks who are downstairs. It is no longer raining outside. So hopefully I'm not jinxing anything. I don't want to cause it to start raining again, but folks who, if you may be still hiding from the rain downstairs, there is nothing to hide from. There is no rain right now. Hopefully it stays rain. So it was not calling for it, so hopefully there's no more on that. But that was just the sound of the couple minutes ago. That means that we were free to pull off of the wall, which can only happen if we're officially on lake level. We're officially on lake territory. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Great Lakes and welcome to Lake Michigan. Just out of curiosity, is this anybody's first time on the Great Lakes? All right, there we go. Well, Lake Michigan is actually the third largest Great Lake in North America, and the only Great Lake to be completely surrounded in